Spoke to both of those coaches yesterday. I was impressed with both of their attitudes in terms of the way they run their particular teams. Good coaches at both schools, and the other part of it is they were very, very confident coming into the matchup.
Mount St. Mary's wasting no time. It's Lipscomb. And that'll get the party started quickly.
So we're in there for 7 seconds, and we're really cooking already.
Our officials, Larry Scarrato, D.G. Nelson, and Kellen Milliner. As we are off and running here in Dayton. And they go glass. There's Matt Rogers. Boy, how they defend him in this game will be a big, big factor in who determines who wins this game.
Yeah, and he'll challenge them like we just saw. He shoots the ball well that we just spoke about in the open, but really can do a lot of different things. And we just saw that with the one bounce, pick it up and put it against the backboard. Nice backdoor cut here.
What a start for them offensively. It's J.D. Cordelia.
And they're picking up full court, too, to give them more life after a couple of buckets here to pick themselves up and give themselves some energy.
Again, these are two schools that know each other really well. 71st all-time meeting.
There's the quick scouting report with Ball giving him that shot. 19% three-point shooter, so they will relax on him and really sit back defensively.
Jimmy, usually at this stage on the first four, there's very little familiarity between these two teams, but these two schools know each other really well. Tendencies, corner pocket three that time won't go from Hobbs. And the Eagles looking to push quickly. Smalls on the launch. That's a three.
And a nice thing about this American lineup, they have guys who are taller that can handle the ball also. We just saw that perfectly done there by Ball, pushing the ball up from the backcourt, getting it and releasing it to a guard for a quick hitter.
Boy, beautiful drop step and the finish underneath. How about this start from Cordelia?
Rogers was looking at the official, hoping for a travel call, but nothing there.
Donnie Lynn telling us yesterday, Cordelia really their anchor at the rim at both ends of the floor. Open three, and that's good. Smalls lights the lamp from deep.
Well, in the beginning of the first game last night, there was a little energy, anxiety, nervousness, a couple of air balls, if you remember. Not tonight so far.
Well, we got some early fireworks between these two schools. Lipscomb feeds the post on the box. Little body bump. The basket, they say, will not count. And boy, interesting with Adebayo working quickly on the box. But Larry Scarrato says no basket, contact before the shot.
Yep, I think that's a good call. You saw that little bump right across the waist. Nice call from the officials early on.
So the foul charge to Lincoln Ball is his first team foul against the Eagles. Non-shooting underneath out of bounds with 20 seconds on the shot clock. The nervous energy of the first few moments, a moment that these players and coaches have been thinking about maybe their whole lives. Put back, and Mount St. Mary's doing really good work on the interior. They're for their first six as Adebayo gets his first basket.
Yeah, that's one of the things. That was a very good read on the weak side by him, watching the corner shot. He knew that was part of his set play, so he positioned himself in the right spot and just put it right back up.
Smalls wasting no time at the start.
We got an
Rogers
injury.
is
Rogers
hurt.
with that right knee, I believe.
Rogers immediately clutching his right knee, and he is in all kinds of pain.
The hope is that it was knee on knee.
By far the most indispensable player on this American team, and Jim, miraculously, he's going to stay on the floor. My goodness, that looked really bad initially. You see him kind of leg crumple underneath him. But boy, it's good to be young.
Yeah, it sure is. Flexibility, you do your stretching.
Matt Mayock has checked into the game for American for the first time tonight. A big piece for this American team. But it is an Eagles turnover with Simpkins now pacing in front of that American bench. And boy, you could almost hear the sigh of relief on that American sideline with Rogers looking like he's okay, still grimacing a little bit.
Yeah, just you see him jumping just a touch too to make sure the knee feels fine. That's a good sign though for him personally and individually. Never mind the team.
So they work it into the corner. Now near side, this is Hobbs, he'll fire, and that's good.
That was a terrific fill by Hobbs to find that right corner, and Rogers is still over here on the right side, holding that knee again.
Oh boy, I just hope he can go on. They're gonna have to take a look at him now as he will gingerly and very slowly make his way to the end of the bench. An obvious concern now for Rogers and the team, just less than 4 minutes into this game. Again, the preseason player of the year in the Patriot League.
Just an awkward fall. And sometimes your adrenaline can carry you for a minute or so on the floor. And then the true recognition of, hey, this thing really hurts, and I'm being bothered by it.
Jeff Sprouse has checked into the game for the first time. Greg Jones, corner three, too much. And Mount St. Mary's on the push. Underneath, good play, the steal. As Eric Michaels quickly putting his imprint on this game now, having to be summoned quickly with the injury to Rogers. Underneath, Elijah Stevens dumps Michaels. Point blank, and then it's tipped up and in.
It's always good to see a guy come on the floor when really not expected to this early in this game and get some reaction, but that first opportunity that he had was very confident in terms of catching it down there and then filling it up.
Wow. Both teams red hot. Adebayo from deep.
Well, we focused on him in the beginning of the broadcast and his ability not only to go underneath and score in the lane and rebound like we saw a couple of minutes ago, but to make things happen from long range at 33%.
Mount St. Mary's is 6 of 8 from the field, and you saw what they've done from 3. Mayock puts it on the deck. Nice pass underneath. Michaels couldn't squeeze it, and it's a turnover.
Wasn't ready to catch.
So here comes Lipscomb up the floor, a little bit wild with the pass.
Just a touch.
Mountaineers the turnover. And now Jones going to get him set. Stevens. And this will be a little bit of a bump. Non-shooting foul. And Jim, everyone's going to catch their breath. Matt Rogers into the locker room for American as the athletic trainers will take a closer look. Check in with John.
All right, Spiro. Matt Rogers is up, getting himself loose. He's on the bike right now, back in the locker room. He is available to return. He's getting himself going here on an exercise bike in the locker room, but he's available to return. So good news for American.
Good news indeed. Hopefully see him out on the floor quickly. So how they kind of piece this together until they get him back. Jim, let's see how they handle this for the next couple of minutes.
I think the key thing right now is just not to turn the basketball over.
Sprouse, that's a 3, and this hot three-point shooting continues for both teams. The Eagles now 3 of 6 from deep.
And he actually started 8 out of the first 9 games this year for them, but then has come off the bench and gives them a little uptick in the offense.
This is Lipscomb going to get him reset into the corner. Three-pointer well short from Patrick Haig, who's just checked into the game now for Donnie Lind.
Everybody is letting it rip quickly, aren't they?
Here comes Mayock, sealed off. Up top, Sprouse looking for some daylight. Mayock, little floater, nice little soft touch. And we are tied.
One of the things we're seeing American do well right now is they like to get a shot up in the first 7 seconds or so, but they're patient if they don't get that. And so they're working both sides of the floor.
Three-pointer a little bit too much. Fight for the rebound. Cordelia has been terrific so far.
Nice little tip to himself. That's going to be a little body bump.
And here comes Rogers off the exercise bike. And let's see if he's going to check back in quickly, but what a career it's been for Rogers. 17 points per game this season. He was the MVP of the Patriot League tournament last week. Jim, you just can't say enough about the importance for him and this team as they try to get him back onto the floor as quickly as possible.
And I would think that you'd get him on the floor pretty quickly rather than have him after John just said he was on the bike, and that whole thing about riding the bike is to keep that body loose and the leg flexible at the same time. So I wouldn't let him sit there that long and tighten up.
Hobbs picks up the dribble. Sprouse nearly to steal. Shot clock at 7. Sprouse defended by Stevens. He's going to pull short. Rebound Cordelia, couldn't squeeze it. Stevens And finally, it's Smalls. Ahead of the pack, this is Sprouse. That's a three.
Don't look down, because if you look down, they're going to come down and really, really look for the quick hitter when they have it. Nice rhythm at the offensive end, and I love the gang rebounding defensively for American on that previous possession.
The Eagles' second half of the season, they shot 36% from three, one of the best in the Patriot League. As Cordelia, soft little touch.
Way too easy, though. If you let him go one or two dribbles like that and bounce his way into the lane, somebody has to come, at least by that second bounce, to help defensively.
Cordelia, the senior, born in the Netherlands.
Rogers is sitting on the sideline at the next dead ball.
Waiting to check in at the table with Lincoln Ball. This is Stevens, creeps into the paint. Jones from deep.
Now, he thought that was good, too. You could see in his body language that he thought that was going in. Everybody confident shooting the ball.
Here's Orlandis Keys. They work it into the corner, and that's a three. And neither team can miss. Hobbs from the corner.
And it's interesting when you watch practices, as we did yesterday, what these teams work on. And that exact set was what they were working on constantly to get the corner jumper.
Stevens, hard fake on the wing. This is Jones, full extension, making it look easy for the Eagles.
At a 6'6", 195, he got a little body bump right there, but it did not phase him going to the basket. Good activity. Both teams moving without the basketball, keeping it hot. Look at Hobbs. Beautiful.
Boy, Hobbs, shifty, going right into the teeth of that defense.
Yeah, sliding his body and power into the middle of the lane there with the left side drifting towards the left, and that's smart enough to go away from the defenders for an easy uncontested. Watch out.
Rogers still waiting to check in, and he'll come now, but not before the Eagles turn it over again. So early stages, we've had some hot shooting from both of these two teams, separated by just 60 miles in the DMV. We got a 2-point game.
All right, John Rothstein back here with Dwayne Simpkins. How's this a 2-point game and you guys haven't had Matt Rogers?
Yeah, you know, obviously we need him on the offensive end right now. I mean, even he was hurting us on the defensive end. Our defense has been atrocious right now. Guys getting to the basket whenever they want to. We're breaking down assignments, so we got to settle down. I think it's a little nerves there. I thought it'd be the other way around, the nerves on the offensive end, but we're shooting the ball pretty well, but we got to shore up the defense.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
All right, John, what a basketball journey it's been for Dwayne Simpkins. Good sign for Matt Rogers. There's his mom, Christy, who has to be breathing a sigh of relief with her boy back onto the floor after what appeared to be a pretty significant injury. And if off-balance shot from Hobbs, they come up empty.
Defensively just then, if you noticed, Rogers, he went from the middle of the floor, hard to the corner, back to the middle, so not showing any limp or hesitation.
Rogers working middle, not skipping a beat. And it looks like he may have put that sleeve on his right leg. Wasn't wearing that at the start of the game, Jimmy, to try to get some warmth in that leg, potentially.
And I love the fact that they went right to him on the offensive end.
So Rogers ties the game as we come up on the midway point of this first half in what has been intense and highly efficient between these two schools. Adebayo, a good little look underneath, and they reset. The three-pointer won't go from Irvin. So the Mount cooling off just a little bit now from the three. They're 4 of 10 from the three-point stripe.
Here's the patience on the offensive end. If they don't get something quickly, he's got a size advantage right now. He can patiently work his way back underneath with it. There you go, give it back to him.
Stevens instead, this is Narcidas. That's a three. They missed badly, and you can see Rogers telling Stevens, I wanted that ball back.
That was pretty clear from my seat over here.
Jim, you want to keep your star player happy, feed him the basketball.
Yeah, get him a little, watch him patiently work that into the little jump hook. He can shoot the ball from long range. Very, very talented. So if he's okay, you want to make sure he's okay and give him the ball, as you just touched on.
Looking like a young, fierce Jimmy Spinarco on the box. Here's Cordelia, a little bit of a bobble.
Yeah, he's got to be careful, Rogers, because he's bumping with the hands, too.
A little bit too much, follows the miss. Boy, he's such a monster inside, and he puts it back.
I'll tell you, that was a workout, both offensively going after that and making things happen with Cordelia, but he really worked Rogers pretty hard defensively just then.
Cordelia coming in off back-to-back double-digit rebound games, including that championship game against Iona in their conference final. Fourth turnover committed by the Eagles. Into the corner, this is Adebayo. Transition three, and let's see what the officials say. It's last touched by American. And Rogers, Jim, still a little bit of a limp. Just seems like he's still dealing with that pain.
Interesting, yeah. He's not played enough minutes, really, for a guy like that. He plays quite a few to be tired, so it's obviously they're talking about that, trying to keep him moving around a little.
First team All-Patriot League back-to-back years.
And maybe they're figuring out that the 8-minute media timeout is coming in another minute. Give him an extra time. Oh, wow, that's not going to work.
A legal pick on Adebayo, and give Narcedes all kinds of credit trying to fight his way through. And that's the second personal, Jim, against Adebayo, and that's a potentially big call.
See if he moves the left side. You see that left leg just then, the knee and the thigh? You just really have to think of that as if you're standing straight up and your knees and your feet have to be straight up to your shoulders.
And then the same call at the other end of the floor. So American with another turnover. So the foul charge to Mayock, that's his first personal.
Yep, that's a good call. He's just moving. It looks like he's trying to avoid that foul, but he did not.
Look at where these two teams sit in the baby brackets. Winner moving on Friday. That date, first round against Duke, the #1 seed in the East. This is Lipscomb. Shot clock at 12 seconds. Puts it on the deck. Couple of fakes, and he's going to shoot free throws. Well done. With 8:22 left in this first half. So Xavier Lipscomb, the young Washington, D.C. native. I had a chance to visit with Donnie Lind. He said this kid is the point guard that every coach, Jim, wishes they had. Just a natural leader. 5th in the MAC in assists per game. Terrific assist to turnover ratio. And he has been one of the biggest reasons why this Mountaineers team has gotten to Dayton.
And he's not afraid to mix it up either. That's what I like about him too. He will challenge you off the bounce. And that was a good example of that from the outside. Very patient, because American was kind of leaning out. 3 guys were leaning out on that left side of the floor. And he just waited for an opportunity.
He's got that interesting shooting motion, and he's got some kind of physique.
Yeah, he sure
does. Not your typical point guard. What a player he's been from the Mount in his career over the last couple of years. So you see the little drought now for American, trying to jumpstart their offense, and right on cue, it's Sprouse, the junior out of Pembroke Pines, Florida, and he's got 9 for the Eagles.
And there's that rhythm. They try to get into it pretty quickly.
Adebayo playing with 2. Boy, a little bit of contact, and he puts it down.
Well, that's a smart play, too, by Adebayo. Adebayo right there, too, because he reached that ball out to the defender's arm and extending it a little bit. See him right there. That's a little bit of a tricky play for an offensive player, and he ends up making the hoop and headed to the line.
All right, back here with Donnie Lind. Why has your offense been so efficient against their defense?
We've been able to touch the paint. You know, once we touch the paint, we're really able to collapse them and then be able to spray it out for open shots.
Would you keep up if you played at this pace?
Yeah, I think so. I think we don't mind that at all.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
I love that answer.
All right, John, what a moment for Donnie Lind. Again, growing up just up the road, 60 miles from here. First year as a collegiate head coach. And in this moment, and a man who's no stranger to this building, he was a video coordinator for Shaka Smart on that incredible VCU team that came here in 2011, the first four, part of that memorable team that started one of the all-time runs, got all the way to the Final Four, Jim. And here he is, just 14 years later, as the head man in charge. What a season it's been for this Mount St. Mary's club.
The coach was right, because when you look at the numbers, 14 to 8 in the paint, just a little Rodgers is back in under that media timeout, so maybe they were being extra cautious to give him a little time to get ready. He'll shoot that from out there if he's not contested.
So the three-point play for Adebayo makes this a 4-point game. American a little bit sloppy with the basketball in this half so far. The kick straight away. Sprouse has had the hot hand. Offensive rebound, Rodgers. On the wing, this is Stevens.
There you go. Nice. He fumbled the ball because he had a little bit of a lane, Rodgers did.
Still have time to shoot. Rodgers going to pull, and that's good.
Yeah, the thing I like about that, and I'm sure American likes to see him shoot the ball and let it go in, but more so with his athletic ability, another good run from side to side, so showing that his knee seems to be okay.
Jim, that's the other part of Rodgers' game. His evolution as a three-point shooter the last couple of years has been incredible. Cordelia, pretty set up by Lipscomb. And J.D. Cordelia now at the double figures with 10.
You're right with Rodgers at 40%. He is really a factor out there. Now that he has a little size advantage, they can go to him underneath if they want.
American, one thing they told us yesterday, they want to try to shoot in the first 7 seconds. They do play at a slow pace, but they will look to score on that first opportunity as they turn it over, Jim, yet again. Their 6th. Corner three, that's good. Hobbs makes him pay for it. And he's got 11, and the Mount opening up a 6-point lead.
What did their coach say a moment ago? John asked them about, can you stay with that pace? Yeah, I don't mind. Let's go. Let's play it up and down, and they're playing the pace with them.
How does AU respond? Rodgers getting himself into the middle of the paint, all the weight on his shoulders, the scoring burden.
I think he was expecting a little better defense right there on the shot. Both guys from the Mount fell back on him, wide open, and he just missed it.
Dallas Hobbs picks up the dribble against Stevens. They're going to reset. This is Adebayo. All kinds of ability in his offensive game. Into the corner. Cordelia.
Nice move.
Drop steps.
Oh, there's the knee
just
again.
Textbook, and Rodgers is down again.
Yep, that knee just gave out again on the twist.
Boy, you just hate to see this on this kind of a stage for Matt Rodgers. My goodness.
And one thing, the minutes that he's been out there, he's been running kind of up and down and not having to twist as much on his last few trips up and down. If you watch this play and if you saw him, he had to twist defensively, and that was immediate. Watch the way he has to come back here. Right now, he twists and doesn't get the push off, and that's that lateral motion that didn't work for him. Yep, it's a shame.
If you've just joined us, he kind of tweaked that leg in the first couple of minutes of the game. Left was evaluated in the locker room. They put him on the exercise bike to try to get the blood flowing. Strapped it on for his team, and now Jimmy can barely put any weight on that leg. Well, you just hate to see it for the young man. You saw his mom, Christy, the emotional support from his head coach, Dwayne Simpkins, and
it's a crusher all around. And for those just joining us again, he kind of walked off the first time by himself. This time, now he's walking by himself, which is a good sign, but this will be interesting to see how this develops with him. What a shame. You worked so hard to get here, right?
You saw Rodgers was able to actually put a little bit of weight on that leg just as he was walking into the locker room. But boy, just spending some time with Dwayne Simpkins yesterday and listening to him talk about Rodgers, who has been the star player for this American team. Just hard to put into words what he's meant to this program. So now they got to go a little bit deeper into their bench. Mason Whitaker has checked into the game. Shot clock down to 6. Sprouse from 3. Splash!
Very good read by Sprouse just then, and he was clapping a little bit to get the attention of his teammate to release that ball out front.
Sprouse hit those 3 threes in the championship game of the Patriot League tournament final against Navy. He's picked up where he's left off. Look at that play. Cordelia sends him back.
That was a telegraph shot just then.
Hobbs a little bit flat on the 3. Rebound Stevens.
Comes the pace again. Get ready.
Stevens transition 3. That's good. And the Eagles punching back.
What a great reaction on the offensive end. The star player heads to the locker room again, and what do? They come down and really just energize it, even though one shot got blocked. Two really good efforts.
Stevenson, the senior out of Waco, Texas, all Patriot League, third team. Cordelia, boys, just had too much for the Eagles in tight. And he's got 14.
Terrific release pass, too, by Keys just then. Timed it perfectly on the right side. He was kind of protecting himself so he didn't lose the ball, and then released it for an easy bucket.
So we crossed the 4-minute mark. Sprouse a little bit short that time from three.
Yeah, a little contested. His other ones were really uncontested. That one was better on the defense with the hand in his face.
Mount St. Mary's trying to get quickly into their set. A little bit of contact on the perimeter.
Yeah, here's that little delayed break, wide open. And then here's that bounce pass I was speaking about. Cordelia finishing it off.
Beautiful afternoon turning into evening here in Dayton, Ohio. As we check our game summary, 3:37 left to play before halftime. And Jim, this has been entertaining so far. You see the points in the paint numbers, 4-point lead for Mount St. Mary's. Again, the developing story here, the preseason Patriot League Player of the Year, Matt Rogers, having to leave the game, still in the American locker room, Jim, but at least for right now, the Eagles trying to hang tough.
Yeah, you only get to play 8 minutes of this game, and it was interrupted 8 minutes, too. He played a couple of minutes, got hurt, came back one time. Thought he was in pretty good shape with the knee, but not quite.
Got a whistle here with Hobbs on the attack.
Maybe a little push there from behind, too.
So Narsadis is whistled on the foul. That'll be his second. And the irony is that, you know, Mount St. Mary's is the team, as we've got a 1-1 here. Over the limit now are the Eagles, with Dallas Hobbs getting to the free throw line. But, you know, John started the game talking about the injuries that Mount St. Mary's has had to overcome. Carmelo Pacheco, one of the elite three-point shooters in the country, that finger injury, and Terrell Ard went down with that Achilles. You can get more sports coverage than ever before in the Bleacher Report app. Be sure to download the all-new Bleacher Report app today.
And the major difference in the injuries, obviously, is coming into this game. The Mount knew that they did not have those two guys, so they were prepared mentally to play this game with the players they have. But now without Rogers, they have to make some changes on the fly here. Everybody's got to step up.
Three-pointer from Narsadis won't go. You saw Pacheco there and Terrell Ard. Just have to feel for those young men. Ard, that devastating Achilles tear at the end of February.
Nice work.
Boy, good interior
Mayock.
defense. Mayock right there. Able to turn back Irvin as Narsadis gets him into their set. So we crossed the 3-minute mark before halftime. This is Jones underneath. Smart pass. And a lot of contact as they're going to put Michaels at the free throw line. Let's get an injury update now with John.
All right, Spiro, well, bad news from the American locker room. Matt Rogers is out for the rest of the game with a knee injury. Obviously, a lot of very emotional people back here in the locker room for this young man, but Matt Rogers out for the rest of tonight's game with a knee injury.
Oh,
what a shame.
Devastating news for Dwayne Simpkins and the Eagles. And now, psychologically, Jim, how do you recover, and who do they turn to pick up that just massive scoring load now? With Rogers, a guy who averages 17 points per game in the biggest moment of their season.
I think it's by committee when you look at the stats and you look at what they've averaged over the course of this season. There's 3 or 4 guys hovering around 10, if not more than 10. So it's difficult. You're going to go into that locker room. Keep in mind, they probably don't know these guys playing right now that he's finished for this game. So they'll go in there and have to react. Nice move there underneath. Well done just then by Jones.
Jones, a Virginia kid from Alexandria, sophomore season. And it's a big play to get them a little bit closer. 1 possession game with 2.5 to play. Boy, full extension, and Cordelia, they have had no answer for him. 16 points for a guy who averages 10 a game.
Exactly. He's almost doubling his average. This is really There's a deflection right there. But the last 2 minutes of this half, you do not want to get in trouble if you're American giving up some easy layups or turning it over. Watch Jones go to work here patiently and reaches all the way around. And then at the other side, we talk about number 14 getting it and going. And a nice little hesitation there. He was anticipating somebody walling up on him or trying to block the shot. Just moved the ball slightly and finished it off.
Jim, the shooting efficiency we've seen for both of these two teams is we're going to get an illegal pick here. Yep. We've had multiple of these. They get Mason Whitaker. That's his second personal.
That's the guard going too quickly. He's not letting the big guy get set. And then all of a sudden, the big guy gets penalized for it. And it's really the guard's fault for not waiting that out.
So Whitaker's second. That's the second Eagles turnover. 7th. With 2:11 left to play in this first half.
Yeah, American has to keep this score right where it is or less going into this half for the last 2 minutes.
Mount St. Mary's coming in off their first ever MAC title in just their 3rd season in the league. And more free throws coming up for the Mountaineers are Atlantis Keys.
That was Jones with the drift on the jump just then. Couldn't control his body. Watch how he's there. Puts a hand up, not bad. And then underneath, he gets him with the body.
Foul charge to Jones, and that's his second.
Yeah, they just have to be careful. You know, Mount St. Mary's is looking to continue to push this action. They want to get this thing to 10 by the half. So important that American controls it.
First free throw is up and good. Reminder to stay tuned. AT&T at the half coming up next. Adam Lefkoe, Jay Wright, Jalen Rose, and Seth Davis standing by live from Atlanta. Get you their analysis of this first half. So Keys, the junior Missouri kid, first year in the program after 2 years at Ellsworth Community College in Iowa Falls, and he has been huge. We mentioned the injury to Carmelo Pacheco, their sharp shooting from a man from 3. Really excellent for them in the MAC tournament.
It sure was.
With nearly 13 per game. Trying to make up a lot of that scoring punch. Final 90 seconds of the half. That's a travel.
It sure is. Oh, he just ran right into that.
Colin Smalls just couldn't get those feet set as the Mountaineers are going to get it back. With 92 seconds now left in the half. Another look at where the two teams sit. These two 16 seeds fighting for the right to move on to Raleigh, North Carolina on Friday afternoon.
I think they look to get one of your bigs down low. Post up. Let them do some work on the blocks. Whoop, you're not going to get
That's a palming violation. You don't see many of those. He got his hand over the ball in the dribble. 5th turnover committed by the Mount.
You know, in the old days, I think we did call that palming, right? Now they call it almost like a carry. I liked that you went with palming, though.
So 1:17 left.
Big possession here. They'll probably get 2 possessions to the Mounts 1 here. Let's see if they can make something happen.
The American Eagles, most wins in a season for them in 14 years. They went 22-12, 13 wins in the Patriot League. As Smalls misfires on a 3, rebound Hobbs.
Nice little set that they ran with the go right and flare left. I'd still go to the post if I could.
Here comes Lipscomb. Boy, he's just got too much strength. Basket now will not count. Contact before the gather, they say, Jim.
Yeah, watch how strong he is, and then he goes right into the defender. Very close. But there was the foul while he's on the floor still.
So
really close, though.
Double bonus. He will get to the line nonetheless. He'll have 2 free throws, but no basket as Lipscomb to the free throw line. Second personal charged to Lincoln Ball.
Yeah, keep in mind that the Mount only has 4 team fouls, too.
So the Mountaineers from Mount St. Mary's, 22 wins out of Emmitsburg, Maryland. These two small schools, they transition from the Northeast Conference in a 22-23 season, joining the MAC. And in just their 3rd year in the league, They take home the hardware, Jim, and earn their trip here to the first four.
So one of their alums, Freddie Mad Dog Carter, could really play some basketball in his own right.
One of the all-timers.
Yep.
Final seconds, first half, 9-point Mount St. Mary's lead here in Dayton. Boy, what a first half this has been for J.D. Cordelia, the senior from the Netherlands, doing some serious work inside.
And right from the beginning of the game, they got him his touches down low, and he did nothing but deliver, really smooth. I would think in the second half, too, with an adjustment for them, without Rogers on the floor for American and some guys who are on the team that have to play little extended minutes, I'd go to the blocks again with those two guys, him and Adebayo.
Then if you've just joined us, American losing their star player, Matt Rogers, the preseason player of the year in the Patriot League, going down with a right knee injury, done for the night. Now the Eagles, the rest of the Eagles forced to fend for themselves as Elijah Stevens drawing contact. It's only the sixth, I should say the fifth team foul against the Mountaineers.
So if they get in trouble again, they can utilize one more grab if they really get in trouble.
Underneath out of bounds with 34.2 seconds now left in the half. Stevens was barely able to get it into Whitaker. This is Smalls, graduate senior, Sprouse, Stevens.
Wow, is he quick.
Nifty handle, elevates, pretty.
Try to guard that. Finally a little action in the paint area or going towards the basket rather than just shooting the threes.
Second basket for Stevens. This is Hobbs. That's a three-pointer. Just barely able to beat the clock. And a perfect exclamation point for the Mountaineers.
And you see this little cross for himself pulling up. That was one of the things for American side that was afraid up for them. Don't let them get up the differential to 10 because they're going to go in with a real high mount. The Mount will right now. American has to regroup.
Let's check in with John.
All right, JD, how are you in such a rhythm on offense?
It's all because of my team. My teammates are finding me, so I'm just happy. You know, my team's happy for me, so keep grinding, keep pushing.
How much confidence did your team gain after winning the MAC tournament?
A lot. I mean, everybody doubted us. Even now, they're doubting us. Think America's going to win, you know. So we're just going to keep pushing and prove them wrong. Prove them wrong.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, John, what a half for Cordelia and the Mount as they're going to take a 10-point lead into the locker room. As we reach halftime here in Dayton, we'll get you to our Atlanta studios for AT&T at the half. After these messages, you're watching the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship. Sun starting to set. Statues of the aviation pioneers, Orville and Wilbur Wright, both from Dayton, all part of the history of this great American city. As we take a look at our first half stats, built by the Home Depot, a 10-point Mount St. Mary's lead. It's actually their biggest lead of the night, doing a lot of their damage on the interior with J.D. Cordelia. But the major headline stories surrounding Matt Rogers, preseason player of the year, the MVP of the Patriot League tournament, done for the day. This was the scene just a couple of seconds ago, Jim, coming back onto the floor. He's done for the night. His mom, Christy, the emotions, and the pictures just tell the story. And now the question, psychologically, can they put themselves back together, the Eagles, and give them a fight here in the second half?
You know, another point too, Spiro, is that this is the greatest event, I think, sporting event, right? It captivates everybody for 3 straight weeks. The last thing you're thinking from a mother's perspective or a player's perspective is you're going to see your son come out in crutches and not be able to play. It's devastating. There are a lot of great moments in this tournament, but there are also some sad ones, and I think that's unfortunately the first sad one we're going to have to deal with in the tournament.
Well, heart goes out to that young man as we check in with John. John, you spoke with both coaches.
Yeah, I did, Spiro. Donnie Lynn told me that his team has to string together some stops. He was not happy with how Mount St. Mary's was defending at the end of that first half. Meanwhile, Dwayne Simpson said, look, We know we're shorthanded without Matt Rogers, but we also need to turn things around defensively. We're not going to be the same offensively without Matt Rogers, but we have to turn things around defensively, and we have to put pressure on Mount St. Mary's defensively. That starts with us touching the paint a little bit more, Spiro.
And interesting enough, John, they switch up a little bit here with the zone, but the Mount goes right at it. I think the Mount is really going to effectively go to the blocks as much as they can. And to tag what Jay Wright said in the studio, I like the fact that you have a different strategy right now as a coach, he said. You go into and talk to your players, and I don't think you settle just for threes. I think you go in and really test them both on the big guys, but more importantly, Spiro, I think you got to get the perimeter guys challenging and going off the bounce to see if they can make something happen and then kick it out.
So Eric Michaels, the freshman who just scored from Poughkeepsie, New York, as they force a Mount turnover here, gets that last basket, Jim. Again, he's only a freshman, but he's played in a bunch of games this season. He had that 13-point game against Lehigh in January, 28 games that he's played, and now in the biggest spot of his young collegiate career.
Yeah, pretty good footwork, too, for a youngster down deep. There you go. Don't just take every three that you get. They don't block many shots. They only block 3 shots on average throughout the course of the year, the Mount. So why not test them a little bit? See if you can get some traction down deep. Well, that might have been a step. No.
They're going to put him at the free throw line.
See what they're doing, though. Their adjustment very quickly to Mount going right down deep, forcing them to play.
Foul charge to Lincoln Ball is his 3rd personal. So J.D. Cordelia, the senior again from the Netherlands. Previous 2 games coming into this night, 13 total points. Jim, first half he had 16 points. He's got 17 now. I mean, he has played a nearly perfect game, 8 of 9, as we throw it over to John.
Spiro, this is a potential X factor to monitor. Teams in the MAC have told me when Cordelia scores at a high level for the Mount, they're a different team. 13-2 this season, Spiro, entering tonight with Cordelia scoring in double figures.
And John, they're also 15-1 this season when leading at halftime. At a 10-point lead at the intermission, it's 10 right now. With just under 2 minutes gone by. How does this American Eagles team respond?
Just go straight up is how you respond. But came up short.
Michaels, good look at it. Shot clock didn't reset. Ball has to turn and fire. Misses off the left of the rim. And the Eagles come away without points. Errant pass. Hobbs trying to set up Adebayo. Offensive miscue. And now Dwayne Simpkins going to play a little bit with his big man rotations. Yeah. Mason Whitaker, the senior from New Zealand, is going to check in. And Michaels, the freshman, sits.
Yeah, it's quite a bit to ask for Michaels to keep putting the ball in his hands and making things happen. Let's see if they can get back to putting the ball on the floor and making something happen going towards the basket. This is small versus big. They keep going, looking for the blocks, though, don't they?
Whitaker. Deflected into the hands of Stevens. Shot clock at 8. Stevens going to pull, and he buries it. Boy, you get the feeling Stevens going to have a big night if they're going to stay within striking distance.
Keep in mind also that they have 3 or 4 guys, 2 of them on the floor that are graduate players, another senior and a junior. So they do have experience. So they shouldn't get rattled by the big moment having to play.
Boy, nice little flick at the cup by Adebayo.
And Mount St. Mary's is just focusing on the blocks right now. Get the ball to the paint, make it happen.
Adebayo, the redshirt junior, all-MAC 2nd team. He was the tournament MVP after a sensational run to help get the Mountaineers here to the first 4 in Dayton. He's given the Mount a double-digit, 9-point lead, I should say, with 3 and change gone by. Ball not even close from deep.
He only shoots it at 19%. That's why they're laying off him. They did that in the first half also. He's got to drive that. He can't shoot that. He's got to drive that. Even if he picks up a charge, be aggressive with it.
Here comes Irvin, sets the table underneath. Adebayo. His body contorting, spinning all over the place. 11-point lead.
Yeah, that's when you know you're in a little bit of trouble right there when that shot goes in.
4 minutes gone by, second half. This is Whitaker picking up the dribble. Jones from deep. Big shot for the Eagles. Quick timeout taken with 15:53 left in this second half.
There's some activity. Just what you think the Mountain's going to try to do. A little floater right there in the lane to get that shot off. Tremendous body control. The Mountain looking for paint action. Adebayo probably the same.
Donnie Lynn, his wife there, Sierra, their children, Silas, 9 years old, Magnolia. This was parents, Lewis and Jane, in the house tonight. Just imagine the emotions as they watch Lynn, the 38-year-old rookie head coach. We're going to get a 3-second violation here. And a rare offensive miscue for a Mountaineers team that has been just sensational tonight with their offense. As a tournament summary, day 2 here at the first 4. A juxtaposition between those two schools. Alabama State last night getting their first ever win in the dance, and North Carolina, number 134, more than any other school in the country. In this meantime, this American team, again, losing their star, Matt Rogers, if you just joined us, with what they are saying is a right knee injury, done for the night. Young man who waited 5 years to finally get a taste of March Madness, and he goes down, Jim, just a couple of minutes into this game.
And sometimes American, when he's on the floor, they like to play 5 out. All the guys away from the perimeter, out on the perimeter, because they can all shoot it. This lineup, not sure right now, because here's not a shooter right here. Mayock can shoot it though.
Mayock, one of their better three-point shooters, no doubt. Gets it back with 7 to shoot. Cordelli extends his defense. Mayock is going to launch, and he sticks it. Big shot for the Eagles.
And that's called sizing somebody up outside just then. He was thinking of a drive to the basket, but he looked at the clock and said, I may not have enough time to get into my motion towards the basket. Well designed.
Mayock last year was 2nd in the league in three-point accuracy.
Somebody got a hand on that. Another hand in there. It might have been Stevens both times.
How about the Eagles showing some fight into the corner? This is Jones, short. Boy, and that American contingent behind their bench was ready to explode. But Jim, you look up, here they are. It's a 5-point game.
That was a big one, Spiro. No question about it.
You just wondered how they would react psychologically after losing their star Rogers.
I like the way they've reacted so far. This is where it's going to be key, though. You don't want to reach for that one. He's 8 to 10 feet away. You don't want to go after that one.
The shot clock winding down. It was down to 9 seconds.
And look at him sizing him up now and just lets it rip. A couple of stops. American building on a little bit of confidence right now. They just, not to push Rogers away, but maybe let's try to win one for Rogers if we can.
A teaching moment there for the freshmen as they sit Michaels down. They've had to go deep into their bench with now Rogers done for the night. Atlantis Keys quiet so far. Step back 3. He sticks it.
Just barely got away without carrying that ball just then. It was a high dribble. It's indicated by the official.
What a stroke by Keys to get some of that momentum back for the Mount. Three-pointer from Sprouse, a little bit short, and a loose ball foul. He's going to get it back to the Mountaineers.
And you see the little high there, a little high dribble, and man just puts the hand up and stands in front of him. You got to get out on him quicker than that. I know there's the possibility that the guard can go by you, but still, going to really close out on the perimeter.
Now, we had enjoyed our visit with both of these two coaches yesterday. Donnie Lynn, rookie head coach, doing it for the first time. Guy who's turned this program around after they had gone 7 games under 500 the last 2 years, their first 2 years in the MAC. And look at what they've done in year 1 with this new staff. Can they put the finishing touches on this wounded American team? Boy, extending to the cup was Adebayo. He's got 16.
That was one of those confidence possessions just then, and a nice job by Dallas Hobbs. Just waiting it out, filling in the ball with the slice cut to the middle of the floor. You got to keep going towards the basket, I think. Here you go.
Jones. They're going to not count the basket. They say the contact before the gather. That one stings a little bit for the Eagles.
And watch this little cut to the middle of the floor. And Hobbs just waits for him to get into a spot where he can catch it and go with it. And that one's really, really close right there, but I think it's the right call.
So an underneath out of bounds with 13:03 to play. Lincoln Ball has checked back into the game for the Eagles.
See if you can take advantage of your size there.
Into the corner to Stevens. Well played by Cordelia. Underneath, and it's a travel. Dribbled himself into trouble, and it's the 10th American turnover of the night at 9 p.m. on Max. Great to have you with us here in Dayton, Ohio. Night 2 of the first 4. Spiro Ditas, Jim Spinarkle, John Rothstein, our producer Jason Ross, Corey Fishman, our director, rest of our True TV crew. Adebayo, top of the key. He has been a force. Off balance. Wow, rare miss.
Yeah, they got 3 good guards out there with the mount, so you can expect limited turnovers.
Stevens, a little bit too much. Long rebound.
He's got an advantage here.
Boy, light and fast. Mayock gets him from the back.
No quit right there for Mayock, because he was in trouble at about 12 feet away from the basket just then on the run out. See Rogers enjoying that play, but right now he's in trouble. And then he sits back. You see how he sits back just a little bit to give himself some space? And then his long length helps him out on that play at 6'7".
His dad, Mark, played football at BC. His mom, Alex, former Hooper at St. Joe's. And his uncle, former NFL general manager. Pretty good genes in that family. Have to be awfully proud of their boy, Matt Mayock, playing really well, trying to get the Eagles back into this game. Into the corner, they get it to Lipscomb. Three-pointer back at the rim, no good. Offensive rebound, Cordelia, and they get it reset.
Nice close in there.
Outside, open look at a 3. Malcolm Dredd.
That's a terrific play, too, by Cordelia just then. He gets the ball. I thought he was going to have an open lane. They closed on him quickly, and what does he do? He goes to option number 2 and kicks it out to the perimeter. That's why you get these wide open shots.
Michaels turns.
He's got to go fast here. He can't wait.
Whistle blown as Michaels is bumped. And Mount St. Mary's, boy, just when you thought the Eagles were starting to edge their way back in, Donnie Lynn's Mountaineers looking fierce. They got a 13-point lead. Well, the family of Mount St. Mary's head coach Donnie Lynn taking it all in. His wife Sierra and their kids Silas and Magnolia. But this kid Silas is kind of stealing hearts here the last couple of days. What this tournament is all about. Jimmy's made this place his own personal playground.
And when they came out for warm-ups, you know who was the first guy leading the charge? There he is right there.
We saw him at the podium here. He's got all kinds of personality, and he is hoping his papa can get these Mountaineers into that first round if they can hold off the American Eagles here. 13-point lead. Rookie 38-year-old head coach. I told you about his story here as a video coordinator, part of Shaka Smart and that staff with VCU in 2011. Sprouse on a 3. Boy, they needed that one. Off the back iron, and the Mountaineers in control with a 13-point lead.
It's a good set, too, down the other side. Just a little long on that shot, the quick release.
Adebayo has been magnificent. That time misses everything.
Whitaker just stayed in his way. There you go, run it down.
Jones set up. Boy, they got him. Fingertip on it. What a defensive recovery by Keys. And then he's at the other end. Lipscomb, Adebayo, short. But again, Keys, Jim, making it happen. The scrappiness from Orlandis Keys at both ends.
See, every opportunity is so big for American. Have to come down with that rebound, but then it gets double flick and it goes out of bounds.
Just trying to piece it together is Dwayne Simpkins without his star, Matt Rogers, whom they lost in the first half with a right knee injury. active rotations with his bigs, alternating between his freshman Michaels and Whitaker, the senior. But right now they're facing their largest deficit of the night. We'll get it reset to Hobbs. On the deck, stops, elevates, short. 8 straight points for the Mountaineers. Eagles looking for some points. Stevens, they get him from the back. It was Irvin. Beautiful bounce. Layup, Hobbs. And it's all Mountaineers.
Stevens is shaking his head out there, too, because I believe he thought he had a layup until Irvin came back and made the defensive play on that set.
American hasn't scored in more than 5 minutes. 3-pointer from Norsadis. Jimmy still got plenty of time, just past the midway point. But they got all kinds of problems.
I think you got to talk things over if you're American right now.
Dola Adebayo starting to flex. It's a 17-point Mountaineers lead.
The run is on for Mount St. Mary's, and it started this play on the defensive end. Stevens, I thought, was going to go in there for a little bit of a layup. I think he thought so also. And then it's the push down the floor, making things happen on the fast break opportunity. And then here's the beauty. Just set that screen and fake like you're going to hand it off and just go to the tin and finish it off.
A Mount St. Mary's team, Jim, again, it's only in their 3rd year in the MAC. They were predicted to finish 11th out of the 13 teams in the conference. They ended up winning the conference championship to earn their trip here to Dayton. And they are 9 minutes and change away from a trip to the first round of the dance. Just amazing run that it has been for this team.
I know some excellent pressure out front, too, just then by Mount.
John mentioned the injuries that they had to contend with. Carmelo Pacheco, number 4 3-point shooter in the country. They lost him to the finger injury in early March. And Terrell Ard, one of their most valuable big men off the bench, with that Achilles injury that he sustained on the 2nd to last day of February. Jones, big answer for the Eagles, where they're playing so desperate for some scoring.
And not only that, but they got to find the stops defensively right now. Mount St. Mary's is very comfortable on the offensive end.
Just no answers.
Yeah, the bigs are starting to take over this game. Predictably so.
Mount St. Mary's, they hit the 70-point mark. They're 14-1 this season when they have hit 70 in a game this season.
Is America going to be able to shoot their way back into this game? Not if the Mount is going to the paint and piling up points.
Mayock, one of their best 3-point shooters, attacks, gives to Jones, and then it's poked out of bounds. As the Mountaineers just having their way at both ends.
Hobbs getting his hand on that ball. 5 seconds on the shot clock, so enough time to get it to a guard to make something happen. They've had trouble getting some of the passes in bounds, though, too.
Told you how good the Eagles were from the 3-point line the second half of their season, better than 36% from that 3-point line. Shot clock down to 1. They've got a fire corner 3, and Hobbs is called for the foul. Well, that's the last thing they want. Lincoln Ball shooting a deep corner 3. Was it a 2 or a 3, Jim? It was a 3-point attempt, so 3
gut
free
says
throws
3, yeah.
for Lincoln Ball.
He's a 50% free throw shooter and only 19% 3-point shooter, so.
Only the 3rd free throw of the night for American.
Didn't we see that last night with Alabama State? Not getting many free throw attempts, and things worked out fairly well for them at the end of that game. It'd be nice to see Ball step up here and get 2 out of 3 at least, if not all 3.
Lincoln Ball, the graduate transfer from George Washington, 4th year in this American program. Dwayne Simpkins said he's our glue guy. So much respect from his teammates in the locker room. One more free throw. You can play the official men's bracket game of NCAA March Madness at play.ncaa.com or in the March Madness Live app. This ball misses on the third, so a 15-point differential as we come up on the 8-minute mark now left in the second half.
Underneath the basket. Oh, he was wide open. They missed Adebayo down deep.
Cordelia approaching his career-high scoring number, and he just continues to put it on this American defense. 7:58 left. 15-point game on True TV. Check of the game summary, 7:58 left to play. Second half, it has been all Mount St. Mary's, taking advantage of the absence of American star Matt Rogers, who went down with that significant right knee injury, ending his day. Just have to feel for the young man again, the star player of this team, star of the Patriot League, preseason player of the year. Jim, they had a couple of stretches where they showed some good fight, but Mountaineers have had just too much.
Yeah, just losing way too much with Rogers not being on the floor. Nice cut.
Adebayo unleashed.
So it continues. The Mount St. Mary's adjustment at the half was just remarkable in terms of making sure they turn this into a paint game. They are just totally dominating in the paint.
So Elijah Stevens, who really has been a lone consistent source of offense with Sprouse for the Eagles, he's got a dozen.
And paint points of 38 for Mount St. Mary's, 16 for American.
Cordelia right up into the chest of Michaels. Boy, these two bigs underneath.
They're just banging away and getting good results.
So we hit the 7-minute mark here in the second half. Mount St. Mary's looking for what would be their third ever NCAA tournament win. The previous two both coming in play-in games.
Yeah, without Rogers on the floor, they are just the Mount St. Mary's just packing in one or two of the big guys right in the middle of the floor. Wouldn't be able to do that with Rogers out there.
Irvin on the attack, stops and shoots and connects.
Just too much balance. The two bigs doing their work, and then you have the three-guard perimeter players just chipping in when they need to.
And this thing has ballooned down to a 19-point lead for the Mountaineers. Stevens. Jimmy may have to start flinging him up from the three-point line. As Dola Adebayo.
See that double team, and what does he do? He recognizes it, just fills the lane and finishes it off by filling it into the hoop. That's pretty emphatic, isn't it?
Adebayo trying to take the Eagles' hearts with that finish.
Even with Jones as a presence defensively just then.
So an underneath out of bounds here. Stevens will be the inbounder. 6:13 left in regulation. Sixth team foul against the Mountaineers. And a nice little dive to the cup by Colin Smalls, and a chance at three.
That's when that opens up, too, with that little bit of delay. You just can't rush into that cut to the basket. You have to let the defenders think it's going outside to the corners and or to the top of the key, and that's a great time to cut towards the basket.
Colin Smalls, graduate player, Upper Marlboro, Maryland native. He's actually 5th in the Patriot League in free throw accuracy. And better than 81% on the season. Got a change here by Donnie Lynn. Dallas Hobbs will come in. Lipscomb will sit. You know, we mentioned the injuries that Donnie Lynn has had to contend with Pacheco and Ard. Ard going down at the end of February after a game at Fairfield. And Lynn told us yesterday as Keys fires a three here and hits. On that bus ride home, he leaned back into his seat, Jim, and wondered, are we going to win another game? And look at where they are right now.
They're looking pretty good right now, and that break in the trap and pulling up for a three.
Stevens looking for some daylight into the corner to Sprouse, and that's a three. So Jeff Sprouse trying to breathe some life into the Eagles. It's a 16-point game, and Sprouse now has got 15.
Here's where having those guards on the floor. Watch out now.
Adebayo, the driving kick. Keys.
Nice rebound in traffic with 2 Mount St. Mary's players on his back.
Jones on the pull, errant pass. Boy, the margin for error is so slim. Sprouse trying to get it to Smalls in the corner. And every mistake from this point forward magnified for Dwayne Simpkins and his Eagles. So Lipscomb will sit, will come back in, I beg your pardon, and Javon Irvin will take a seat. So 5:20 remaining. Mount St. Mary's 79 and American 63.
One of the things, too, when you think about it, the Mount averages 15 turnovers a game. They've only averaged at 8, had 8 today, so made a big difference.
Adebayo, body bump from Michaels. And again, just no answer for these 2 Mountaineers bigs underneath.
That was going to be a fall away jump shot anyway, and Michaels made it just a touch more of a fall away.
So Donnie Lynn back in his home state, again, just 60 miles from where he grew up. Town of New Knoxville, Ohio, Jim. Population 800. I had a chance to visit with him yesterday. He said it's like Hoosiers. 800 people in the town. They'd sell out their high school gym, which seated about 1,000 people.
That was amazing with that.
Said his earliest memory was watching Evan Eschmeyer, who attended New Knoxville High School, the All-American at Northwestern, shatter one of the backboards. And his basketball journey has taken him here to Dayton. First-year rookie head coach.
He'll get that key to that gym anytime he wants.
And his wife Sierra seated behind the bench with their 2 children. Donnie's parents. Beautiful backdoor finish. Mayock elevating to the rack.
And well timed too. You know, when you think of Mount St. Mary's defending just then, they're thinking Americans going to the perimeter. Good adjustment for them on the fly. Still looking to get it on the blocks though.
Cordelia. Now they reset Hobbs. Slashes in. Shot clock at 8. Hobbs out to the wing.
You got to make a run in about the next 2 minutes if you're American to try to chip your way back into this. It's a big mountain to climb. Go fast now underneath.
Michaels, the freshman, trying to create some space. Sprouse from 3, and he's not done yet.
He's starting to get people to think just a little bit right now.
13-point game. Sprouse has hit 6 threes tonight.
Keep the pressure on. Force them out to pick up their pace just a little bit, not take off the time on the clock.
Lipscomb's going to get him reset. Into the corner, Adebayo.
Whoa, that was big. Big miss, but that was going to be a big 3-pointer. Nice cut.
Eagles showing some life.
Now you got to talk things over if you're the Mount, and that's what they're going to do. Just enough to keep everybody thinking.
It's down to 11 here in Dayton.
Nice follow-up there with the give and go.
Game reset, 3:27 left to play. Mount St. Mary's lead down to 11. It has been strength in numbers for the Mount tonight, and all kinds of contributors.
And everybody unselfishly, just love the way they're all cutting towards the basket when need be, and they've adjusted, and you look at these numbers across the board, pretty big numbers for 3 guys out of their 81 points.
Cordelia and Adebayo each have tied their career highs with 22 points.
How about that 10 of 11 from the floor for him?
Mount St. Mary's, the rich basketball tradition at that school.
Here comes your full court action. Team that turns it over, as I mentioned, 15 times. See if they can get another one. There's possible.
Get a hand at it. Mayock.
Got to go up.
Underneath. And he's fouled. And it's going to be a 1-and-1 as the Mount over the limit. And Matt Mayock, an 85% free throw shooter, can cut this thing down to 9.
Yeah, you see the jersey getting pulled a little bit right there. The official's right on that call. Now you just throw everything you have at them, Spiro, defensively. You just
1-and-1 for Mayock. First is up. 10-point game. Let's go to John.
Well, Spiro, Donnie Lynn just told his team that, guys, we need to do the job at the defensive end, one stop at a time. Relax on offense, but defense is where we're going to close this thing out, Spiro.
I would agree with that, John, but they do look a little shaky getting this ball up the court every so often. What does American do? They just continue to go on it. They're going to have trouble with the time right now.
Boy, clearly they're having some issues with this full court press. They just get it inbounds to Keys. And now Hobbs is going to come get it back. We come up on the final 3 minutes.
Switch it out front right now. They'll probably double team if they get an opportunity. This is a big possession for the Mount just to get some confidence back.
Lipscomb, the bobble. They got a piece. They come up empty. And that heart rate from those fans of the Mount starting to rise. Long three, boy, interesting shot selection.
Maybe a little quick. Maybe a little quick. Still have a ton of time up there.
2:42 remaining in a 9-point game. Xavier Lipscomb, Washington, D.C. graduate transfer.
Shot goes down now defensively. There's a hand check out front.
They did have one to give, Jim, with 2:29 left. It's on Jones. Obviously, Dwayne Simpkins did not want that in that situation. Now the officials are having a little bit of a conversation here.
Especially with the shot clock winding down.
A technical foul has been assessed to Dwayne Simpkins. Huge call.
Unbelievably used.
Alandis Keys. Ten-point game.
For a number of reasons. You get 2 at the line. Takes a little steam out of your team.
Simpkins ready your picture. Obviously a little bit too demonstrative for the officials' liking. And that gets their attention.
Not well timed though by the coach.
See what the Mount has done when they've had 4 plays. This kind of offensive balance this season. It's an 11-point game. Hobbs. Out of Bayo. Aaron pass for Lipscomb.
There's the turnover issue that they've had this season.
Quick substitution here. Elijah Stevens back in.
Now you rush this thing up. Little small lineup on the floor for Americans, so push that up, try to get it to the basket, but then look for a kick out. But don't go to ball in the left corner.
Here's Stevens, the All-Patriot League performer. Smalls on the attack, misses at the cup. And the rebound underneath, tracked down by Keys.
Pretty good contest just then, too, by the Mount defensively. Adebayo may have gotten a hand in there on that drive.
Boy, a little bit of the wind out of American sails as we come up on 90 seconds. Dallas Hobbs, the sophomore, named after his hometown, trying to run that clock.
You don't want to foul right now.
Here he is on a spin, poked away.
Uh-oh, watch out.
Boy, and now they're going to say shot clock violation, so that the whistle should have been blown initially, they say. And boy, a big break for the Eagles. They're going to get it.
And they never had possession, right? No possession here. Or maybe there was. Way on now.
So the Eagles catch a break. They're going to get it. 1:16 left. And they've got to work quickly.
Absolutely. Size it up and go. Look for your shots. Oh boy.
They cough it up.
Uncontested too, not forced.
Mariscarado says kick. So Mount St. Mary's will have it with 61 seconds left.
Longest 1 minute in his life right now.
Told you about the Mount. 2 all-time wins in the tourney, both coming in play-in games. First one against Coppin State in 2008, and then in the first 4 here in 2017 against New Orleans. There's 1-1 here. Now you can only wonder if this is the end for Dwayne Simpkins, but just an incredible season for the Eagles. 22 victories, champions out of the Patriot League. 4th all-time appearance. Just a devastating injury of their star, Matt Rogers. Most wins in a season for the program, Jim, in 14 years.
And overall, I mean, a good effort by the Mount, and also on the other side, a good effort without Rogers in the second half. This team could have kind of half collapsed, if you will, but America just stayed there. They were competitive, just didn't get enough breaks.
Corner 3 from Sprouse.
Got to keep fouling. If you decided to foul first, you got to keep doing it.
This was an American team that at one point was 7-9 on the season, but they won 15 of 18 games, won the Patriot League. And they just did not have the good fortune that they were hoping for here in Dayton tonight. As Ball has fouled out for the Eagles, and his season is going to come to an end. In his final game, the embrace with his coach, graduate player. Simpkins talked about the respect he had garnered from his teammates the last couple of years, Jim.
I'll tell you from experience, that is a horrible feeling, losing your last game.
Underneath, a rebound slipping through the fingertips of Cordelia. Well, this American roster, Jimmy, look at the makeup of it. The top 5 scorers, all homegrown guys. They all started at the school. The only transfer in the rotation, Lincoln Ball, who's in his 4th year with the school, just tells you about the makeup of his team. Tightly knit group of kids. We'll give them all kinds of credit.
And that's why you knew they would come out and play hard in the second half. But they ran into Mount St. Mary's, who made a terrific adjustment at the half to turn this into a paint game. And they went up 40-22 on the paint points overall.
Now this night all about the Mountaineers from Mount St. Mary's. Their best season as a Division I program just got better. They get their 23rd win of the season as they win it here in Dayton. 83-72 over American, and they are moving on to the first round of the NCAA tournament. 3rd all-time NCAA tournament victory. They've all come in the play-in round of the dance, and now they'll go to Raleigh to try to make history against the massive favorites and the #1 seed, Duke. John Rothstein standing by.
All right, thanks
with the winners.
Zola, what an incredible performance. Why were you guys in such a rhythm on offense?
We just stuck with it, stuck to the game plan. If we make a mistake, on to the next, get it back. If we do good, then we got to keep it going. That's what Coach been preaching the whole season. So we just sink back to the work we put in throughout the whole year. That's it.
All right, thanks. Let's talk to Coach right now. Donnie, you've been winning with defense. Where did all this offense come from?
Hey, the guys were super unselfish today. They were able to, touch the paint and then sprayed the ball out and shared with no hesitation. We talk all the time about we just want the Mount to score. Now, I don't care if it's me or him or somebody else. As long as the Mount scores, then we get points and we can win a game.
What have the last couple of weeks been like for you?
It's been unbelievable. These guys, to watch them battle this adversity and always just have an undying will, it's so much fun.
All the best. Travel safe.
Thanks, Sean.
Spiro.
All right, John, what a moment for Donnie Lind, Ohio born and bred. Grew up 60 miles up the road in New Knoxville, and a 38-year-old rookie head coach has the Mountaineers moving on to Raleigh to take on Duke. 83-72, your final. The first four continues shortly with Xavier and Texas.